Hey, Vic, what do you know about the new guy, Jacorian Bennett?
We're going to find out here soon. Just throw him into the action and see what he's got.
Do you see anything about him coming in, through the draft process? Did you learn anything?
I don't remember him in the draft process. Watched a little bit of his tape last year with the Raiders. He's got some good speed, got some coverability. We'll see.
Do you expect him to compete for that starting job?
Possibly. I mean, everybody's got the right to compete out here. I think we need to get his feet under him and get our eyes on him and see what happens over the next few weeks.
What made Thomas Booker expendable?
He wasn't expendable. We're going to miss Book. I'm going to miss him personally, but to get something, you got to give something. So.
Say anything about you thinking the depth that you had at that position was greater than going into camp?
Say it again.
Did it have anything to do with the depth that you had at that position being greater than you thought it was going into camp?
No. We have our three starters. Gabe's been coming along, BY's been coming along, Ty's been coming along. Are they where they need to be? No, but they're coming along, and hopefully that will continue.
Going back and looking at the tape of the preseason game, what do you think of Keely Ringo, and Adoree Jackson's performance?
Yeah, obviously they had some tough assignments in that game going against that quarterback and those receivers. But I think it's a great learning experience for both of them. And hopefully they'll both come back. Obviously, Keely had more balls thrown his way than Adoree did. But I think it's great that happened. And we'll see how much they can grow from that.
What is it about Bennett? What is it about Bennett that you like about his play that that maybe you've seen him tape and they haven't seen him out there yet?
He can run. He's got some coverability, and he's going to be in the mix with the rest of them.
With Smile and Jihad at tall linebacker, what did Smile start, do you think, and how do you think he's performed?
Yeah, Smile started because we were going to play all those, him, Trot, and Campbell equally, and Campbell would have started, but then a day or two before the game, the trainers asked if we only play Jihad much fewer snaps coming up, so it made sense to not start him, so there'd be a logical rest period for those other two guys.
On that Jamar Chase touchdown, I think you called a 0 there. Is that intentional at all during the preseason to kind of give a certain look or test a cornerback in that spot?
Yeah. There's a lot of times in the preseason where you're calling stuff for the purpose of evaluation, whereas during the season, a real game, you're calling lost technical difficulties. You're calling stuff to stop, anything that you can to help your guys. But during the preseason, a lot of times you're calling stuff to get a good evaluation of everybody.
And was that a specific one for Keely in the corners?
Just not particularly for Keely, but for all the cover guys.
So when you are making those evaluations off the games, clearly you're not scheming for the other team. Those guys that potentially are starting aren't playing alongside starters. How do you weigh that when you are making that final evaluation?
It all factors in. It just all factors in. There's not an overriding thing. Our practice against our team, you got the Browns coming in here for a couple, the 3 preseason games. It's an accumulation.
How do you think Sidney played and handled?
I thought he did fine, and I think he'll keep progressing. Sidney's got a lot of good stuff to his game. We just got to polish him up and see things a little better, a little quicker, which is a natural progression for young players who he didn't have. He didn't training camp last year from a defensive standpoint was a very small chance for him to grow. So this is his time.
You mentioned the Browns coming in. Shedeur Sanders, what do you know about him? Did you study him at all coming into the draft?
No, I don't know anything about him.
Is there anyone that has stood out in particular through these first 10 practices in the preseason game that maybe you weren't expecting?
A lot of the guys have had their moments. good and not so good. I don't think we're there yet to say stand out.
What's your level of comfort right now with the edge rushing room as a whole, and have any concerns about further down in the depth chart right now with the depth?
Yeah, we need some guys to surface behind the first couple. And I think some of them are making good strides. I think Uche's getting better. He's just got to keep learning how we want to do all the little details, both against the run and the pass. Ojulari, same. And then the other guys, we're looking for somebody to surface to say, hey, maybe we need to keep this guy.
Have you, the Bengals playing their starters, how much better is it for you to evaluate guys like Keely, Sidney, and all these guys?
Yeah, I think it's great. It's great.
And what kind of things can they learn from going against guys? I mean, obviously AJ and Devontae.
Yeah, huh?
Obviously AJ and Devontae are here, but also doing it live.
Yeah, those guys have missed a lot of practice, both of them. They're great learning experiences, especially, the one thing for corners and DBs, out here there's no scoreboard. Over there, there's a scoreboard. And you got to be able to play when there's a scoreboard.
Vic, what stood out to you about Ty Robinson and Gabe Hall from the preseason?
What happened?
What stood out to you about Ty Robinson?
Yeah, I thought they both showed pretty good knowledge of what we're asking them to do from an assignment and technique standpoint. I think they both played hard, and I think they're both progressing. I think Gabe's had a nice camp. I think Gabe's, like I said before, a poster child for what practice squad is supposed to be.
How did you see him develop in that year on the practice squad?
I think he just kept getting more confident. He coming off the injury he had in college. He needed some confidence in that regard. Needed to get stronger. Needed to adjust playing against men, not college players. It was a great learning experience for him.
Thinking about
What's your overall take on working on tackling in camp now? And how you get around with not doing it to the ground?
Yeah. Like I was just telling somebody this morning, what is it, about 40-some years, I've only been in one camp where there was live tackling in practice, and that was, that would show up about every other day for about a 12-pay period. And I've been with some of the most hardworking head coaches or driving head coaches and push players, but we would do it in short yardage goal line, but out in the field, never. And you got to be able to learn how to practice by approaching everything in practice as if it's going to be a live tackle. And then at the point of contact, you don't. And that's the best way to do it in practice. Obviously, we show video on how we need to do it, the best way to do it. And you've got to be able to become good tackler that way.
To follow up on earlier about the cover zero play with Ringo, so whenever you're calling plays in practice or in games, are you doing that trying to find out whether certain guys can play man or whether they're better at zone and things like that?
Yeah, and also to stress them, to put them in stressful situations, which are going to happen during the season and games. So I don't know how much, we played Cincinnati last year and there was no cover zero because of Chase and their receivers and their quarterback. But it's a good evaluation.
What did you see from Jacob Sykes on that bunch? Flashed a little bit the other night.
Yeah, he's got good movement. He's better on the move right now than he is grinding blocks. We've got to improve on his ability to grind blocks more. But, yeah, he did play pretty good.
Thinking about rookies missing time, Vic, last year with Cooper, do you think he would have been ready to be a factor week one, or did he need that time watching those first 4 weeks?
Yeah, he didn't practice last year all off season, and the only time he started practicing was the week of the last preseason game, and he played a good bit in that game, and he didn't play well, meaning how to do things, from a technique, assignments, more of a technique standpoint. He wasn't ready to play. Contrary to popular belief, practice is important and repetitions are important. There's a lot of people that don't believe that these days. But he's a poster child for that last year. If you watch his last preseason game and then watch how he played once he got going, it's night and day. So,
What are the tipping points to Keely on the touchdown? Just getting out leverage?
which one?
Well, the first, the chase touchdown, the long touchdown.
The one he caught kind of short? Yeah, he's got to tackle. I'm not upset that the guy caught the ball on him. I'm upset that he didn't tackle him. And he's got to realize where he is on the field, use the sideline, realize who he's going against. Those are all things you got to process and factor in a millisecond. And he didn't do a good job of that in that play. But I expect him to learn from that, and I expect him to improve from that.
Thank you.
Thank you.